Where's the freaking stream at? There it is. So running. Game audio. Yeah, game audio is working. Party audio is working, that's all good then. Alrighty folks, just gonna sit here and wait for a bit. It's gonna be a long freaking show. So. And I'm probably not going to be too joyful about it. Anyway. Get on with the job at hand. I do believe this is supposed to be it, just 17. Begs the question, why the hell are we even doing this? Whatever. Oh, what the hell are we waiting for? What's going on? Signal's been given. I was readying up. There's the timer. When that hits 0, I started my intro as per normal. Get on with this. Hello everyone and welcome to round 6 of the America's Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for today we'll be competing at Suzuka International Racing Course for the Japanese Grand Prix. Constructed in 1962 and designed by famed architect John Hugenholtz, the circuit was originally created as a testing and proving ground for the latest technology developed by the Honda Motor Company. Over the decades, the circuit's popularity grew, and it eventually gained itself an audience with Formula One in 1987. Since then, the track is now often considered to be not just one of the best racetracks in Asia, but also in the world. It measures up at 3.61 miles and consists of 18 turns and a single DRS zone that leads down the main straightaway into the primary overtaking spot of Turn 1. Outside of Turn 1, you have the hairpin of Turn 11 and the Casio Triangle chicane of Turn 16 and 17 that also provide overtaking opportunities. But obviously, with the small amount of opportunities you have around the racetrack, it's obvious to understand then that qualifying will be important for achieving victory today. And boy oh boy do we get to focus on qualifying today. Not that it's a particularly good thing. Before we focus on this here session, there is a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Singapore. There were no incident reports submitted by the drivers last week. As a result, the final finishing positions from that race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, it is Axis who was leading the way on 114 points, followed by KD, who was on 101, so 13 points separating the top two in the Drivers' Championship. Blockman is next on 93 points, followed by Saucy on 86. Rebel rounds out the top 5 on 67. In the Teams' Championship, it is Alpine leading the way. They're on 160, followed by AlphaTauri on 126, so 34 behind. Ferrari are next on 105, followed by Williams on 99, then Red Bull Racing on 88 points. As you can tell as well, we're in the multiplayer cars once again. There was an update that was recently released by Codemasters that supposedly fixed the equal performance issue. Guess what? It hasn't worked. It's reported in from leagues such as PSGL that the equal performance patch has done absolutely nothing. So we're stuck with the multiplayer cars for now. And as you might tell on the totem pole on the left hand of screen, we got Q1. Yes, we're doing full qualifying here at Suzuka. Now, what that means, it means there's 30 minutes of useless action that we get to witness, and then it all comes together with about 6 minutes to go in each session. Those are going to be the important parts that we're going to keep an eye out for. I mean, look at all the action we have at the moment. We're already a few minutes into the session, and we got, 2 cars out on track. Ain't that glorious? Captain Schmeg will be the first car to attempt a flying lap. He'll be making his way towards the chicane. Just a few moments' time, you can see he's weaving about, trying to build up some temperature. Jay just behind him, getting some temperature in his tyres as well. Captain Schmeg heading up towards Casio Triangle will begin his first flying lap attempt of this qualifying session. Around the final corner, we might ride on board, give you a tour of this 3.6 mile racetrack. Down towards turn 1, with DRS wide open, building up to a speed of 204 miles an hour through the first corner, then into turn 2, 5th gear, modulating the throttle, eventually reaching full power just before corner exit, through turn 3, then turn 4, on the left of turn 5. You have to get a late apex here, same here at turn 6, so you can open up the left-hander of Dunlop, turn 7. Nice and tidy there from Captain Schmeg. This will complete the first sector as he heads into Degner Curve, turn 8, and up towards turn 9. A slight overshoot there, he runs wide. Still pushing though, as he heads up towards turn 10, and then Kobayashi Corner, turn 11. Named after Kamui, of course, after his stellar performance during the 2012 Japanese Grand Prix, and he's actually bailed on the lap. Right on board with Jay then, complete the tour of the racetrack. Around 200R, turn 12, and up towards Spoon Curve. It's a fascinating corner. 2 corners as a matter of fact. Around turn 13, then turn 14. It's important that you get a nice exit here, so you can carry as much speed as possible down this back straightaway of sorts. Heading up towards 130R, the most iconic corner on the racetrack. Absolutely flat out all the way around. Now into the big braking zone of turn 16, the beginning of the Casio Triangle. Out of the triangle now, and around the final corner, turn 18, with DRS open, crossing the line. That is the benchmark for everyone to beat, 1 minute 28.267. Captain Schmeg going to have another go here at a flying lap. Barrels into turn 1. Quite a fascinating corner, turn 1. You can carry so much speed around that turn, but you immediately have to be hard on the brakes at corner exit for turn 2. The trouble is you don't want to be too hard and lock up the front left, otherwise you'll understeer wide and probably run off the road. Of course, if you have ABS, it's a lot less of an issue. Round Degner, turn 8. Brilliant corner it is. You really have to be fully committed through both 8 and 9. Little kink of turn 10. Then the hairpin of turn 11. You have to be patient on the accelerator. Eventually reaches full throttle. Flat out around 200R. You can see a chicane there on the inside. That's actually the motorcycle layout of a famed motorcycle race here. An endurance race, in fact. The 8 Hours of Suzuka. And they use that very chicane. It's for safety, obviously. You can tell there isn't a lot of room on the outside of the corner, so they slow the bikes down, make sure they're not barreling into Spoon with a ton of speed. Up towards final chicane. It's had some remodelling over the years. But the design we've had today, a bit over a decade old. Captain Schmeg sets a better benchmark time at 28.5. Sure he'd be pretty happy with that. But no, don't we love full qualifying? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that we're going to have this kind of action during the session. It's just... we got some drivers out on track just trying to set benchmarks making sure their setups are okay. That's all they're doing right now. There's no real significance to this part of the session. It's just a whole heap of waiting till 6 minutes to go. Spaz Squatch is a new driver, from what I understand. Potentially a reserve driver. I'll have to check the check-in again. Yeah, they did, Bags. Yeah, they did. So, I'm not going to have much to talk about for about, I want to say 30 minutes. Stubbly sets a 28.7. I know, I'm absolutely flustered with how much commentating I have to do here. I have to talk absolutely flat out because there's so much going on everywhere. Got a couple of more cars coming out now. Another new name I haven't seen before, Luxury BTW12. Definitely a new guy, never seen that before. Captain is another one as well. Sporting an America themed livery. If the blue was a bit more potent, that would I think complement the livery more if the blue was more potent. But you can obviously tell it's an American themed livery. And you can tell this one is an Alpine themed livery. I have to give credit to both Rebel and to Blockman. They're Alpine designs. Hey, look, I reckon that would make a really nice real-life Alpine livery. I think it looks great. As he's actually on the hard compound tyre as well. So not terribly surprising that a few of the quicker drivers like Blockman, KD and Rebel, who have been towards the top of qualifying in races past, they're using the hard compound tyre. It's not terribly surprising at all. And with how hard you can push this tyre in the race, let alone qualifying, they'll be able to set multiple runs all in a row. Try and set a pretty decent lap time. Spaz Squatch jumps to the top with a 28.240, beating Jay by 27 thousandths of a second. Around the hairpin at turn 11. Then towards 200R. See what some of the other drivers are up to. Captain getting ready, same with Nico. That's a livery and a half. At least with this full qualifying session, I'm able to appreciate some of these designs. Some of them are quite spicy. Some of them are the sort of custom designs Codemasters put in that are either tributes or special liveries from real life. The Stafford-mobile that you get from the Champions Edition. The tribute design for the Alfa Romeo team. Tribute to their recently released supercar, the 33 Stradale. Rebel jumps to P3 with a 28.485, and that's on the hard compound tyres. So yeah, it gives you an idea of how quick he is. He was talking in the Discord about a potential issue he's having with the analog stick, that he's getting no down input whatsoever when he pushes down on the analog stick. So yeah, he might be in a little bit of trouble, but he looks quite comfortable at the moment, setting a time like that on the hards. Looking pretty good. Out of 130R goes KD. Brakes hard as Luxury jumps to the top with a 28.2 on the mediums. Should be pretty happy with that lap time. KD responds in kind with a 28.3, goes a bit quicker than Rebel. Blockman heads up towards the line 2, and he'll set a 28 flat on a set of hards. Boy, that's fast. On a hard tyre. With JBH out on track and Axis in the pink mobile like he ran at Singapore. I'll tell you right now, it is properly pink. Very pink. You're able to spot him from a mile away. And this is another issue I currently have with the multiplayer cars. Look at how many black dots we have around the racetrack. It makes it near impossible for me to try and decipher who's where on the racetrack. Thankfully, guys like Axis got a unique colour that I'm able to pick out. The Alpines have coordinated quite well. Stubbly's got a nice red car here, and he's the only red car in accordance to that leaderboard, so he's pretty easy to spot. luxuries in an orange mobile. That's easy enough to spot. But yeah. Just makes my job a little easier with these multiplayer cars. And to think that the most recent update was supposed to fix the equal performance issue. It said so in the patch notes, but apparently, in accordance to PSGL, it hasn't worked, or at least there's still issues as Axis jumps to the top with a 27.6. And they're out on track. Get a black design, sort of a Alfa Romeo theme to it. Barrels towards 130R. Yeah, to think that after the most recent patch, Codemasters still haven't fixed their game is just incredible, honestly. And totally unsurprising at this point. Captain's just jumped up to P3 as well. 28.098. Nanda crosses the line. He jumps up to P3 with a 28.0. So at the moment it's pretty close, but it's manufactured close because we have guys on harder compounds just trying to get through into Q2 without using a set of softs. We've got Nico here who's on a decent lap, but he's just run out of fuel. So he'll make his way into pit lane. RF1 Tom is still in the pit, so he's not leaving. He's leaving it till right to the end of the session. Little Mech out on track in the Rich Energy Mobile. He had net issues last week, and look at him. Net issues again. Hopefully that won't affect people all too much. Oh, goodness. Tough to watch that. Really it is. Saucy out on track. Currently P13. Close to the drop zone. How much time left do we have in qualifying? Oh, what do you know? There's a yellow flag indicator covering the timer, so I can't see how much freaking time we have left. Been a problem since 2019 and they still haven't freaking fixed it. The reason why we got yellows is because of Axis. He's out of fuel. And look, Saucy's just done the same, so... Locked the rears up there, gee whiz. Properly locked up the rears. Spazquatch, okay, we got just over 4 minutes. I did capture that. So we got just over 4 minutes left in the session. Our main focus will be those towards the bottom. We got Little Mick still unable to put a time on the board. He's going to try and set one here. Nanda, what's happened here? Right in the middle of the track. Mick had to run wide to avoid him. What happened to Nanda? What, did he hit the pit entry wall and just his car teleported back to the racing line? Well, what the hell? Oh. Yeah. Got Captain out on track as well. So we've got a few cars to keep an eye out for. But our main focus, of course, will be those towards the bottom. As Spazquatch just decides, you know what? I'm fifth. I think I'm making it through. He just pushes the car back into pit lane. Doesn't drive it too hard. It's a back end. Rebel on a set of mediums. He's just trying to add an extra layer of security to his move into Q2. He's on the medium compound tyre. You probably do one lap just to see if he could just secure himself a spot, because he is P9. It will be fascinating to see what these guys will have to do towards the back here. There's a decent chance that Nanda will be knocked out. It depends if Mick can set a decent enough lap time. Let's see here. It's weird as well, even though Nanda's set a 28.0, the game's got him in 15th position. As Little Mick. So yeah, even though Nanda's set a lap time and should get through into Q2, he won't. He's down in P15. I've only just clocked onto that. Yeah, look, 28.0. He should be up in the top 5, but because he retired, he crashed out. He's down in P15 and won't move through into Q2. Now that's reflective of real life, of course. That does make sense, because, you know, when you crash a car during qualifying, if it's big enough, of course, you're not going to get the thing back out for Q2. You only got so much time, so I get it, but man, that sucks. And the fact of the matter is, his car, he should be going through into Q2. He shouldn't be getting knocked out. Damn close to it. Heading up towards Spoon Curve, turns 13 and 14. Yeah, that's absolutely screwed Nanda. Like, even if he can't participate in Q2, he should be, you know, he should be making it through because of the time he's set. Anyway. Rebel heading up towards finish P2. 27.7. Alright, lads. And here towards the bottom. Your job to try and get out of Q1 and into Q2. Nico getting ready for his run. Tom on his final, or rather his first and final flying lap. Just over 20 seconds left in the session. Through the S's here at Suzuka. It's a fantastic piece of track. Piece of track I've grown to appreciate, even in F1 23. Out of Dunlop. Tell you what, Tom's car looks good. The rich energy mobile. And that was a thing. Heading out of turn 9, up towards the hairpin. A little bit of traffic in front. That's KD, I think, out on track for some reason. Even though he'll make it through comfortably, he's out on track. Out of 200R now, heading up towards Spoon. 185 mile an hour into turn 13, round turn 14. And up towards 130R. What does the clock say for Tom? It says 1 minute 11.273. I think that's pretty decent from what memory serves me. Tom's looking good. Stubley jumps up to P5 with a 28.1. Tom will cross the line to set a 27.9. Time is good. P3. What about Nico? If he can put a decent time on the board here, he should make it through quite comfortably. Round the final corner, up towards the line, it's going to be a 1:27.8. Ah, I see what the game's doing. Right. I understand now. So, the game classifies him down in 15th. I'll talk about it later. We'll go through the results. So, Axis fastest in that session on the medium compound tyre. Rebel P2 on the mediums as well. Nico 3rd, Tom 4th. So, they both dig themselves out of Q1 with their last lap efforts. Blockman on the hard tyres is 5th, followed by Captain, Stubley, Saucy, Luxury, and Spazquatch rounds out the top 10. Cars eliminated Captain Schmeg and Little Mick, and Nanda as well after he crashed out during that session. Now, the game has classified him in 15th position, so it's not necessarily a glitch. It's just the game telling you that he's going to be starting 15th because of his incident during this session, which is actually reflected to real life, so that's fair enough. So he will not be participating in Q2 because he crashed the car out in Q1, but he does qualify ahead of Captain Schmeg and Nanda because he did set a faster time than those two. So credit Codemasters, you're actually using your noggin. Using your a very small noggin, but you're using it nonetheless. Overcast, but no obvious signs of any wet weather as we head into Q2. 14 cars going to participate in this session. Who's going to be the first one to drive out? Yeah, Ferrari Pro, welcome to full qualifying. Fair enough, Luke. We'll see what happens in the race, but we've got a fair while to wait. And to get through Q2 and then Q3. But yes, tell you an interesting story about this decision. This decision to go with full qualifying was made by the America Series admin Insane Sparty. The interesting thing is he's made this decision without consulting the drivers. Some of the drivers did complain about the fact that they were going to be doing full qualifying. He basically told them to shut up and do it. So, yeah, a very, very interesting call this is. That Sparty, as an admin, just sort of made the decision, and the coordinators have sort of run with it. They haven't done anything to fight against it, and neither have the drivers. So here we are doing full qualifying for some reason. Just a lot of waiting. And we've got a few cars out on track. We've still got a few in pit lane. Yeah. We've got drivers on a wide variety of compounds as well. Fair few on the mediums, Blockman on the hards, Rebel on the hards as well. As KD will be the first driver to attempt a flying lap here in Q2. Heads down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Reaching a peak speed of 203 miles an hour. Someone drove off the road there. Was that... I'm not sure who that was. Saucy? Yeah, it was. Through the S's. Round turn 7 up. Oh, up towards turn 7 rather. And then towards Degner Curve, turn 8. Reaching a peak speed of 182 miles an hour. Low speed of 157. You can imagine how much goes through your tailbone through that section of racetrack in real life. Man, the amount of forces the driver has to deal with in Formula 1 is absolutely insane. Out of Spoon Curve now, out of turn 14, heading up towards the middle sector split. KD's evidently not put a hell of a lot of fuel in his car, so he's not doing multiple runs. Going for a one and done here. Up towards the final chicane. 190 miles an hour, drops it down to 62. Tidy exit, around the final corner, up towards the line now for KD. It's going to be at 28.3. That is the benchmark for everyone to try and beat. Jay's not going to do that. He's invalidated his lap. JBH has got 2 corners to go. His B-Spec Mercedes Mobile. Oh, big old tank slapper entering the final corner. He'll cross the line to set a 29.5. Axis on a lap in the pink Mobile. Luxury jumps to the top with a 27.8. He is half a second faster than KD on the same compound of tyre. Quite an impressive performance to say the least. See what Axis can do as he heads up towards the line. It's going to be a 27.8 as well. He beats Luxury by 0.005 of a second. Stubbly's invalidated his lap. Rebel hasn't. Blockman jumps to the top. On the hardest compound, he's done a 27.805. Rebel crosses the line. He does a 27.9. He breaks the trend. He goes P4. Saucy on the lap. Heading around Spoon Curve. Turns 13 and 14 on the racetrack. Flat out stuff all the way up to 130R. This corner used to be a hell of a lot more notorious than what it is now. It's not exact. See, it gets its name from the radius of the corner. It's a 130 meter radius. Thing is though, the corner's quite a bit more open compared to what it was originally, as Saucy sets the 7th fastest time. It's quite a bit more open. You see old footage of cars going around 130R. It was a properly tight corner. You had to be fully committed as well, because you could take it quite fast. But if you were just that little bit too far over the edge, well, there wasn't a hell of a lot of runoff area on the outside to try and save you. So it was a real fight or flight corner back in the day. Now it's quite a bit more forgiving. Corner is way more open. Still daunting, because you're carrying a hell of a lot of speed. If you're side by side through there, ooh, it gets sketchy real quick. But when you're on your own, like with Spaz Squatch here, fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Yeah, days of old, the likes of Senna and Prost racing around here. Completely different era as well, as you mentioned, 1.7 seconds the gap. You wouldn't see that today. Not in dry conditions, at least. Maybe you'll get a bonkers wet weather session that completely mixes things up. But it's easy enough to understand that this circuit rewards commitment, bravery, and sheer raw skill. So it's easy to understand why a qualifying maestro like Ayrton Senna is capable of finding such lap time even over a guy like Alain Prost. Captain heading up towards the middle sector split. Still on a push lap here. Clock says he's up by 1/10 of a second. At this stage, he's not set to improve position, but improving that lap time will pay dividends towards the end of this qualifying session if he wants to make it through into Q3. Captain will improve. No, actually, he lost a decent chunk of time in that final sector, so his PB remains unchanged with a 29.2. Nico jumps up to P7. He does a 29.2 as well. Black Baller heading up towards the Casio Triangle. Fourth gear at the exit, eventually reaching full throttle. Up towards the line, he'll do a 29 flat. Jay heading around the hairpin at turn 11. Eventually reaches full throttle. You have to modulate the accelerator quite a lot to make sure the back end doesn't step out on you. RF1 Tom heads around the final corner, turn 18, up towards the line. It's going to be a 28.4, P7 for him. It's just Jay and Stubley left. Jay heading up towards 130R. Stubley heading around Kobayashi corner, turn 11. 3 corners left on the lap. Ah, dearie me, KD, that was awful. He wasn't paying attention at all to what was behind him. Up towards the line now. Jay will jump to the top. What an effort. 27.3 on the soft tyre. Quite a bit quicker compared to everyone else. KD now begins a flying lap with his tyres probably slightly dirty after that little excursion. He didn't see Jay coming in his rearview mirrors. He managed to get out of the way, which is the main thing, but he could have done it in a much nicer fashion. Regardless, he's pushing as he makes his way around Dunlop Curve, turn 7. Awesome part of the racetrack, turn 7. So easy to get it wrong through there if you're not paying attention. KD to the first sector is up by 4/10 as he heads up towards Kobayashi corner. Brakes hard, brings it down to third gear. It's back on the power. Eventually reaches full throttle. A proper driver's circuit, Suzuka. And I think it's about time that we consider it as one of the legendary racetracks of Formula 1. I think we have a set standard of 4 really legendary, really iconic racetracks. Those being, of course, Monaco, Monza, Spa and Silverstone. I think Suzuka has got to reach that level by now, by this point. It is a proper driver's circuit in every sense of the word. And I think one other track that would surely have to reach that level at this point would equally have to be Interlagos as KD jumps up to P2. I don't think there is a single racetrack in real life that has developed such incredible racing quality consistently as Interlagos. It's quite remarkable. As we've seen in online league racing, the racing quality is fantastic, but also qualifying is incredible to watch. Because it's not a particularly big racetrack. The margin for error is very small. It's a bit like the Red Bull Ring in many ways. But I love Suzuka. Awesome racetrack. Really tests the driver's mettle and skill. And then you add some of that wet weather spice to the racetrack and it turns into a completely different beast. Corners that you'd find innocuous turn into complete nightmares. A bit like 130R, to be completely honest. 130R in the wet is a daunting exercise. Blockman has retired from the session, so his qualifying is all but done. KD out of fuel is making his way back towards the pit. So we'll keep our eyes on these fellas then, towards the bottom. In the drop zone currently, we have Nico, Captain, Saucy and JBH. We'll make our way onto the main straightaway. Saucy will begin what could be his final flying lap attempt with 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. Turn 1. Drops it down to 4th gear for 2. Back on the power. As KD retires in the pit lane. He's done. The top 4, they're all done. So it's down to the bottom half of the field. See if any more drivers come out. I think Luxury is making his way out of the pit, so he's not going to retire yet. Got Rebel out on track, and I think he's on mediums. He is. So he's just going to try and secure his spot on the medium tyre. Luxury is trying to do the same. So we head around the hairpin at turn 11 and up towards 200R. Turn 12. Oh, a car just sitting in the middle of the racetrack. Who's that? Who was that? Ah, it's Spazquatch. Just sitting right on the inside there. Just not the most adequate spot to be in, trying to get out of the way of cars that are on flying laps. Saucy's up by 1.5 seconds, so this is going to be a serious improvement. Out of the final chicane, now around the final corner. Saucy will cross the line to set a 1 minute, 27.676. P3. Surely that would be enough to get through into Q3. Luxury out on track, Rebel on a flyer. He's up by 2.5 tenths in the first sector. He makes his way around the hairpin. 3rd gear, eventually reaches full throttle as he uses the curb on the outside of Kobayashi corner. Up towards Spoon, turns 13 and 14. 8th gear. Drop it down to 6, back on the power. On the brakes again, down to 5th gear. Modulates the throttle quite a lot there. He had 2 or 3 cracks at that. There's Nico just ahead. He gets well out of the way. That's good stuff there by Nico. Good alertness. Right there. Saw Rebel coming. Got well away from the racing line. Round the final corner now and up towards the line. A little wiggle there. You'll set a 27.6 P3. He goes 300ths faster than Saucy in P4. Luxury out on track. Out of turn 9. Heading up towards the hairpin at turn 11. Sporting the Red Bull Miami design. It's not bad, but it's not the most bold thing in the world. JBH jumps back to the top. 27.290. You'd be happy with that. Tell you what, Axis may or may not be in the drop zone. We'll wait and see. Same with Blockman as well. It's quite dependent on what these fellas are capable of doing. Luxury's got good pace right now. He should take Blockman and Axis through the chicane and around the final turn. He will improve. Jumps to the top. 27.0. So Spaz Squash, his session is done. Same with Captain. Captain's out. Tom jumps to P9. That is a 28.1. Stubley's up by a decent margin. He's looking at a low 28 here as Black Baller goes to 12th. Stubley crosses the line. Jumps to P9. It's just down to Nico now. He's up by 1.1 seconds. Needs to be a tidy final sector up towards the line for Nico. P7 for him. He makes it through to Q3. Stubley just makes it in. So those who are out, Tom, Spaz Squatch, Captain, and Black Baller. Captain doing his time on the mediums. Might have cost him. Q2 done and dusted. It's Luxury who's at the top of the board by 2 3/4 tenths to JBH and P2. J completing the top 3. Then we have KD, Rebel, Saucy, Nico, Blockman, Axis and Stubley also making it through into Q3. Blockman doing that on the hards, Axis and Rebel on the medium tyre. Those eliminated, Tom P11 followed by Spaz Squatch in 12th, then Captain and Black Baller. There we are. Into a interesting final few minutes to that session. Now we move on to the big boy stuff in Q3. Conditions are overcast. Probably recommend that the drivers get out here as soon as possible. Yeah, you're not kidding, Luke. It really does go on for a while. 12-minute session here to get through. Drivers will realistically get 2 or 3 runs during this session. See if any of them have fresh enough tyres. Try and compete in this final part of qualifying. Everyone should be on the soft compound tyre. I know that both Blockman and Rebel will have a decent amount of softs available to them because they've been using hards and mediums over the course of qualifying. So they should be pretty good. A few of the other drivers though have used at least a couple of sets of soft compound tyres. And I wonder as well if all of them are going to chuck on fresh sets straight away, because as you can see, it's overcast. We might get rain during the session. You can see JVH, he's on medium. Stubley's got mediums on as well, but for their final runs, everyone will be on soft compound tyres. But I just can't help but notice it is seriously cloudy. If it starts raining, then you want to be on the freshest set of soft tyres you have right here at the beginning of the session, just as a sort of fallback plan in case if it does start raining towards the end of the session. But it seems that at least a few drivers are confident enough to chuck on the medium tyres straight away. Have the hope that they'll be able to put on the softs later on. Alright. The first car on set 11 will be JBH on the medium compound tyre. Goes into the final chicane. Second gear, short shifts up to third, to fourth, to fifth. DRS open as he begins his first flying lap in Q3. Down towards turn 1. 206 miles an hour the entry speed as he heads around turn 2. The last of the cars on an outlap is Axis. You can tell by the very pink dot that is making its way through the first sector. he is on the soft tyre. An awkward position. Gives you an idea of how quick JBH is going through turn 7. Axis, our temporary cameraman right there for turn 7. Just seeing the sheer velocity of the car going through the corner. Quite cool. Tidy out of the hairpin. He makes his way around 200R. Jay on the lap. He's heading up towards the Degnas. That's the first sector done and dusted. Runs a bit wide there at turn 8. You only got 12 minutes to put down a lap. You can't afford to be invalidating. They cost you dearly. Round 130R. Up towards the chicane. We go on the brakes, bring it down to second. Short shift to third. And then around the final corner. JBH will set the benchmark. 29.3. Not the bestest lap time I've seen in this full qualifying session. Blockman on a flying lap. KD on one as well. Keep an eye on the Alfa Romeo driver for just a bit. There is Axis just in front. He's getting ready to set a flying lap. 10.7. Okay, got to try and remember that. 10.7. Luxury jumps to the top. 26.9. New benchmark for everyone to try and beat. Round the final corner for KD. He will set a 1 minute 27.3. Blockman making his way out of turn 11 and around turn 12. Rebel jumps up to P2 with a 27.0. Saucy on the lap just in front of Blockman. Makes his way out of turn 14. Nico just in front of him. He's done a 10.6, so he's currently going quicker than KD at the moment. According to the minimap, he's purple. But more than likely, that's just a glitch. Blockman heading up towards the middle sector split. 10.4. Nico crosses the line. Jumps up to P3. What about Saucy? He makes his way towards the line. He sets a 27.5. Blockman crosses the line. 26.917. Beats Luxury by just under 6/10. Yeah. 6/10. 600ths of a second. Know what I meant. 600ths. 54 thousandths to be exact. Axis has invalidated this lap. Picked up on it then. So he'll probably make his way back into the pits. Have another go. We've got Jay out on track. Yet to put a lap time on the board. Everyone on laps at the moment, or everyone out on track, they'll make their way back into the pits and probably wait until right at the end of qualifying, probably. The only driver who will be setting a flying lap in a few moments will be Jay here. Everyone else will be going back into pit lane. All these lull periods make a short session even longer. It's only 12 minutes. And there's just not a hell of a lot going on. Just waiting for Jay to begin a flying lap, I suppose. Decently tight towards the top as well. Blockman, Luxury, bit of a surprise because I hadn't seen him before. Looking pretty good in that P2 slot. Rebel just behind Nico. Probably one of his better qualifying performances this season. Currently P4. Jay begins a flying lap down the main straightaway towards turn 1. 8th gear. Building up to a speed of 206 miles an hour. 4th gear. Modulates the throttle. Had a few cracks at that and he bails on the lap. He's evidently not too happy with turns 1 and 2 there. He's completely bailed on it. We have Axis out on track. This is a bit surprising. He's not going to wait longer. He's going to come out now. Fascinating call, that is. And we got JBH out on track as well. So guess what, folks? We're going to do at least a minute a minute's more waiting for JBH to come around the racetrack. Begin a flying lap. Isn't full qualifying so much fun? I love full qualifying. Just a lot of waiting. Alright. Out of the chicane and around the final corner comes JBH. Begin a flying lap. DRS wide open, down the main straightaway. And Jay hit about 205. 206 from JBH. Similar top speeds. That isn't too surprising. I imagine everyone's setups are pretty similar. Oh, dearie me, JBH running wide, putting it onto the grass. The car wiggles in response. He keeps it straight. Relatively so, anyway. 1.5 tenths up in the first sector. Can't help but wonder how much time he would have found if it weren't for that tiny mistake. That's pretty tidy round the hairpin. Second gear, up to third, up to fourth, up to fifth, sixth gear now. And then 7th. Low on fuel as well, so he's only fueled for one run. So he's pushing it right here, right now. And this will end his session as well. He won't have enough time to go back into the pits and do another run. So this is it for JBH. Whatever he puts down now will be the best he'll do in this session. Up by a decent chunk as he heads into the final chicane. Up towards the line now for JBH. He just bails. He bails. Would he have enough time left? Probably not. Probably not. He's going to have to push quite hard on his outlap to try and get one more in. Axis making his way around Dunlop curve, turn 7, up towards the first sector split. Into Degner. Didn't even touch the brake, just manipulated the throttle to get the front end of the car turned in. As Blockman's retired, he's crashed. Look at his dot, it's stationary at turn 4, where is he? There he is there, on the left hand side of the screen, he disappeared just then. But he's actually lost the car and thrown it into the wall. So that's it for Blockman. Qualifying over. All that work on the hard tyres. Throw it out of the window. It doesn't mean anything now. That's all he can do. That's the benchmark for everyone to beat. 26.917. The first driver to have a crack at that lap time will be Axis. He's done a 10.5. I think he's about a tenth down to Blockman at the moment as he heads into the final chicane. If I recall correctly, Blockman did a 10.4 to the middle sector. Axis will cross the line. He will jump up to third at 26.993. It's a good lap. It's just not good enough for pole. Luxury out on track in the Red Bull Mobile. Jay's retired as well. Looks like he's crashed, has he? No, his car's still moving. I'm guessing he voluntarily retired then. That'd be my guess. Rebel beginning a flying lap. He essentially has to try and pick up his teammate's slack after what happened earlier. Can he beat Blockman? Can he secure a pole position for the Alpine crew? We'll have to wait and see as he makes his way towards turn 6. And then the left of Dunlop curve, turn 7. Towards the first sector split, clock says for Rebel, he is up by 1/10 of a second. He goes around turn 9. The hairpin, turn 11, third gear. Maybe misses the apex by a little, but it's a good exit. Looks fast. He's around 200R, up towards Spoon. 7th gear, does he use 8? He does. Round turn 13, round turn 14. Full throttle, using plenty of curb on the outside. He heads up towards the middle sector split. Clock says he's up by 3/10 of a second. He's definitely challenging for pole position. Mistakes happen, Blockman. It's alright. It happens. Rebel makes his way up towards the line. He will set a 26.692. It's provisional pole. Can he hang on to it though? Luxury on a lap. To the middle sector. He's up by 2.5 tenths. Needs to be a tidy final sector. Can put it together. It might be provisional pole. KD's done. He's done a 27.0. Round the final corner. Up towards the line for Luxury. It is enough for provisional pole. A 26.610. Can anybody challenge that? Nico isn't. What about Saucy? No, his qualifying session is done. That's it. It's over. Luxury, in their first race, from what I can gather, qualifies on pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix. Alpine 2-3 with Rebel and Blockman. Axis KD rounds out the top 5. You have Nico, Saucy, Jay, Stubbly, JBH rounds out the top 10. Tell you what, if the game doesn't get a move on, I wouldn't be surprised if Axis got a grid penalty for blocking. Because this looks like the perfect scenario for that to happen. And the game's not shy of doing that either. We should be alright now. There we are. Come on. How long does it take to wheel the car back into the garage? There we go. That took way too long. This whole qualifying session's taken way too damn long. Haven't even started the race. There we are. Q3 done and dusted. Luxury at the top of the board by 82 thousandths of a second to Rebel in P2. Blockman completes the top 3. We have Axis P4. Not the perfect session for him, but starting on the second row, it's not the end of the world. KD P5 followed by Nico, Saucy, Jay, Stubbly, and JBH on the medium compound tyre qualifies 10th. Alright. The incredibly long and unnecessary qualifying session is over. We now move on to the race itself. Is it going to be wet? Is it going to be dry? What tyres do these guys have left to play with? We're going to find out in just a few moments' time. Slightly overcast conditions, but with accordance to what KD's just told me, we should have dry conditions all the way throughout this race here at Suzuka, which is nice. Usually dry weather races tend to be a lot more exciting compared to wet weather races. Of course, mixed weather, well, that's a different story. Mixed weather can be quite chaotic, can be quite dramatic, and can result in some pretty unique victories. You never truly know with this game, because we have it set on approximate weather. If there's clouds, there's a chance of rain. You never truly know. Now, based off what I've seen in both Elite and Pacific Tier 1, there's actually a decent variety of strategies you can try out around here. So I don't expect everyone to start on the same tyre. We'll have a decent mix of mediums and hards, I imagine, and maybe one or two soft runners in the field as well. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Hopefully those guys from Q3 are dialed in, because yeah, they might be a bit rusty heading into the race, having to wait for about half an hour to get back on track. Yeah, qualifying over, Bags. We can now move on to the race itself. Happy days. Here we go, folks. Everyone lined up, ready to run. We've got 5 red lights. We're underway. Here at Suzuka, it's a nice start from Luxury and from Rebel on the front row as we head down towards turn 1. Luxury's got the nose in front. Rebel tried to have a look down the inside. Contact between the leaders on the first lap. And off goes Luxury into the wall. Tumbling down to last position. Off the track is Black Baller as well. It's Axis who leads through the S's. Rebel in P2. KD finds himself in third. Blockman losing a few places at the start. He's down in P6 as we head up towards the Degner curve. Leaders have sorted themselves out. Different story further back. We've got changes aplenty through the field. Running wide. Oh no, it's Stubbly causing a car park. Chaos at the exit of turn 9. Nanda involved. Saucy involved. They're both tumbled down to second last and third last. Actually, no, last and second last. Dearie me. Luxury have passed a pair of them. Oh, dearie me. Black Baller in a stricken car, moving slowly. So a fair few drivers involved in drama on the opening lap. Seems like Captain Schmeg's in huge trouble too. He's got front wing damage on that car. Stubbly. He was at the centre of that accident at turn 9. His front wing looks okay as we head around 130R. All that effort during qualifying, have it all go down the toilet on the very first lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. It's Axis who leads. Rebel second, Katie third, Jay fourth. Blockman rounds out the top 5. Let's have a look at the tyres now, shall we? And what do you know? It's a decent mix-up of strategies. There we go. And I reckon everyone who's pitting probably will put on hards or softs. And that looks like everyone's doing that, either pitting for hards or softs. Leaders mind their own business now after the drama. Rebel's got a big old question mark over his head with what happened at turn 2. Funnily enough, Rockford in the chat mentioned he was waiting for that dive bomb at turn 2 to pop up again. Well, tell you what, it has, and it happened on the very first lap. Went down the inside, it resulted in contact between him and Luxury well and truly got the short end of the stick, down in P14. A long way behind the pack, will realistically need a safety car to try and save their race. Axis with almost 1 second in hand to Rebel, trying to build up that margin. Every single one of the leaders on the medium compound tyre got up one. Tom just behind them, 1 second behind him, P7. If he can harness the pace of those soft tyres, he'll be able to catch up and join the train. New fastest lap set by Rebel, 30.647. It's a tight pack of cars here at the front, but no one in any sort of position to try and attack just yet. Move over to this just briefly because Luxury closing in on Captain Schmeg. He's probably not going to muck around. There's the possible race strategies. For these guys, those possible race strategies are completely null and void. They have to basically do the best with what they've got right now. Spaz Squatch hovering behind Captain. JBH pits in. Don't know if it's for damage or just retirement things. I don't know. Let's find out. Looks like it's damage. Hard tyres at the ready. On they go. A new front wing to boot. That means Nanda and Saucy should find a way through. JBH now down in last position. Dear, oh dear. 1.1 seconds the margin between the top two. Axis is starting to break away. The Rebel's holding his own. He's got almost a second to KD, who has Jay all over him. Jay to the inside, heading towards 130R. He won't go for a move just yet, but he's all over the back of the Alfa Romeo as we head into turns 16 and 17. DRS should be enabled now, so Jay will be able to line up something here, surely. Look at the straight line speed he's got. KD can't defend that. Jay to third. KD wise enough to try and just stay behind him for now. KD in fourth place. Blockman in fifth. He is right behind KD as we head through turn 5 up towards turn 6. Then the left of turn 7 up the hill. 6th gear. 7th. Towards Degner, you can't do much here. Maybe a little bit wide there from KD. Definitely wide there. Not very good driving there from KD. Just a little bit wide, a little bit out of control. Most important thing is that he hasn't completely lost it and thrown it into the wall, but he has cost himself a place. And he now falls to within the clutches of Nico and RF1 Tom. Round spoon. Nico just 4/10ths behind. He'll get a decent slipstream as we head towards 130R. KD, a decent slipstream himself. Closing in a little bit on Blockman. And Blockman won't have any DRS down the main straightaway either. Probably will be a bit vulnerable. Oh, not a great run from Nico out of the chicane. He cost himself time. He won't be able to challenge KD, and I don't think he'll get Blockman. And Blockman's way too... Look at the gap. 7/10ths. Nico down the inside of KD at turn 1. It's tight. But that's good driving from both of them. No contact, from what I could tell. They were near enough inch perfect through turn 1. Well done. Tell you what, Jay's looking pretty damn fast at the moment. That Williams... That B-Tech Williams is quick. So we head through Degner and up towards turn 9. Underneath the overpass towards turn 10. The little kink. Get around here. Get on the brakes hard. Bring around the left-handed hairpin. I'm sitting at 6/10ths. Okay, just needs to stay within that 1 second range. Give himself a chance. Try and fight at the front. Rebel... just losing increments of time to access. I wouldn't be terribly surprised either if he actually has phantom damage on that front wing. He did make decent contact with Luxury. It sent the Red Bull into the wall, for crying out loud. That's how off-putting the contact was. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was just a little bit of damage on that front wing, and Rebel's just sort of trying to make it work. He's shown some great form as of late, but yeah, I see Rebel going this slowly, losing this much time to access. I have a feeling he might have an issue as Jay moves through into P2. Of course, I mentioned before, he has a slight joystick issue with his controls. It might be hindering him a little bit, but yeah, not the best situation for Rebel as his teammate Blockman closes in. Over here we got Nico in front of KD now. KD moves down to 6th. Tom in 7th place. And just behind this we have Stubbly and Little Mick battling for P8. Stubbly on the medium compound tyres. Little Mick on the hards. Mick close, but not quite close enough to try and send it here at the hairpin. Get it round Captain and Spazquatch as well, making their way into the hairpin. Not quite close enough either. So we've got a few battle groups we can keep an eye out for, but the main one, of course, is here at the front of the field. This long train led by Jay now. As Blockman closes in, look at him, he is looking pretty damn quick in 4th. Round 10, 16, round 17. In the final corner, yeah, into the pits goes Rebel. As I probably suspect, he has damage, he has to. Yep. Not thought as much. A shame, but kind of did it to himself, I suppose, with what happened that turn 2. So he's got to dig himself out of the hole he's put himself in. The one thing that is on his side is that we've got a long way to go until the checkered flag. We've got 21 laps to get through, so plenty of time for weird things to happen. And trust me, weird things tend to happen here at Suzuka, more often than not. Bonjour, Quebec, says RF1 Tom. He's saying bonjour to KD as he's only half a second behind. It's going to be tough now, though, on these soft tyres to try and attack KD. They're not going to have a hell of a lot of pace. They won't be much better than mediums are at this stage. This was proven in the Pacific Tier 1 race, as a matter of fact, we had last night. Quite the dramatic finish that we had in that. But one interesting note is that after about 6 or 7 laps, the medium tyres really switched on, and they switched on hard. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing is going on right now with Tom's car. Those soft tyres just progressively getting worse and worse and worse. He's just trying to hang on at this point. Blockman going for a move here. This is for second place on track. And Blockman, well, he's got a very clear target in front of him. It's very easy to spot as well. That vibrant pink mobile that is Axis leading the way. He makes his way through the first sector. The gap is 2.3 seconds. See if he can close the gap up over the course of the next few laps. We'll be getting close to the pit windows opening. Get off the medium tyres and onto a set of hards. Don't think I've seen anyone do a medium soft strat yet, so I don't think we're going to see that today. Bit wide there from Blockman. It cost himself a tenth or so. Looks of things. Yeah, 2.4, 2.5 seconds. Make our way out of turn 11 and around turn 12. Oh, dearie me. Back to this, I suppose. It's the closest battle that we have on track at the moment. Nico holding 4th place. KD either trying to stick with him or trying to hunt him down. Let's have a look at the telemetry. He has used a fair chunk of battery, so I'm guessing he's trying to hunt him down. If he's being more conservative, he'd be saving battery. And you can definitely tell he is not saving battery. What's happened to Captain? Off the road, going slowly. Spaz Squatch gets overtaken by Rebel. You can see as well, low on fuel. He's got that yellow icon, so he's running pretty even at the moment. So he really needs a safety car to try and get some fuel back. So Rebel up into 9th place now. 15.2 seconds to the car ahead. It's not the best sight you want to see, but you've got a clear track in front of you. You might as well make use of it. Try and set some pretty decent lap times. Little Mick still on the back of Stubley, unable to find a way through. Off one to Tom, still looking pretty threatening on those soft compound tyres as Rebel sets a new fastest lap with a 30.3. Up towards turn number 8. Chucking it through 6th gear. Dropping it down to 3rd. You know, Tom not doing too bad on those soft tyres. After 8 laps, he'll be feeling pretty average at this point. Of course, DRS helps, getting some slipstream help as well. And he's got substantially more battery than KD, which is a huge, huge help. And look at him go, around the outside at 200R, now down the inside at Spoon. KD can't do anything about that. Just used too much battery. It's something I've noticed a lot with KD, and he's noticed it as well, but he hasn't been able to sort of switch it off, so to speak. He keeps dumping it. So these two change places, I think. Captain in front of Spanish Watch. I think that was the overtake that just happened. 0.3 of a second. Surely Little Mick can find a way through. Surely. He's not moving around as much either. He looks a hell of a lot more stable in the race. Yeah, he's going to have a crack here. There's not much Stubley can do about it. Mick for 7th. Oh, almost ran a tad bit wide there at turn 1. Almost opened the door for Stubley to go down the inside at 2. But he was able to get enough rotation. Make sure that door was shut. Make sure that Stubley didn't just fire it up the inside. Might be as well that KD could have damage with that car. He was pretty close to that opening lap scrap. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if he was in a similar situation as Rebel, sort of fighting with a damaged front wing on that car. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's just a frustrating thing I have to deal with because the game doesn't properly illustrate minor damage on a front wing. So I kind of just have to guess based based off their pace during the race. Would also explain why he's dumped so much of his battery so soon. Just trying to compensate with that front wing, but he hasn't pitted yet either. Still lasting on those medium compound tyres. Still going. I'm going to give credit to this guy as well. Jay's doing very well keeping up with Blockman. Staying within that 1 second range. He's keeping himself in the fight at the front. At the very, very front of the field. Blockman's doing a lot of hard work to try and catch up to Axis. The gap has shrunk. Hasn't shrunken a whole lot. It's down to 2 seconds from about 2.5. So Blockman's putting in the hard yards here. Yellow's out. Is that Spazsquatch? It is. Pit lane entry. He's broken his wing as well. He'll make his way in and get that thing fixed. Yeah, front wing. He put on the car. Nanda will move on through into 14th position. So we'll see through into 15th. Then JBH. Lovely. Gaps increase again. 2.1, 2.2. So it seems then Axis and Blockman, they're pretty even in terms of outright pace. Nico under pressure here. Tom down the inside. Pulls out of it. Slots back into the slipstream. It's a wise decision. You don't want to go side by side through 130R on most occasions. He's still got a long way to go. Plus, Tom gives himself DRS that he's not going to use. He's going to come into the pits. Get off those soft tyres. Move on to a set of mediums. He's trying a soft medium. It's going to be a long stint on those tyres. It's going to be a long stint. Well, hello, Captain Luxury. What's going on here? 130R. Up towards Casio Triangle. Captain defending that inside line. Luxury unable to find a way through. But you'll have DRS. You have to use it here down the main straightaway, and there's not much the Captain can do about it. P10 is for Luxury. Captain down to P11 with that pass. Captain low on fuel as well, so yeah, he needs to hope for a safety car. And he's properly, look at the revving he's doing. Gee whiz, he's revving the daylights out of that thing, so gotta be careful with the fuel, man. Gotta watch it. Dudley still hovering behind Little Mick, but after 11 laps, those hard tyres should be doing substantially better. KD still hovering behind Nico, half a second behind. Race leaders in. Blockman stays out. Jay stays out. Nico and KD are next. Nico's in. KD stays out. So we've got a few takers. Axis moving onto a hard tyre. And he's set for a undercut. He's going to gain a bit of time on Blockman on those fresh tyres. Yeah. Fairly curious that Blockman isn't going with the same strategy as Axis and just trying to beat him on raw pace alone. Ooh, Stubbly gets by Little Mick. A mistake perhaps? His tyres look clean, so I don't think he's gone into the dirt. Stubbly moves through into P4, Little Mick down to 5th. Nico's got Tom right on his gearbox, Tom on mediums, Nico on hards. Should be a fairly one-sided contest at this stage of the race. Tom's going to have so much more grip, so much more pace on those mediums right now. Not close enough to go for a move. Very nice run out of the hairpin though. Round the outside, contact! Gee whiz! Almost contact again. We head around spoon. Gee whiz, that was tight. Tom gets in front. Blockman's in as well. KD follows suit. So Axis making his way through the Final chicane, Blockman. Making his way out of his stall and towards the pit lane exit. So how much time has Blockman lost with Axis and his undercut attempt? The gap was about, I want to say about 2.3 seconds. At the moment it's 1.8, 1.9. So you know what, the undercut hasn't really worked in Axis's favour. As a matter of fact, appears to be a bit the opposite. Maybe Blockman's gained a little bit of time. It's now starting to stretch out, about 2.1. So yeah, not really a net gain of anything for Axis. Everything's about the same as it was. Now Rebel, sideways, is behind in 5th. He's got an awfully long way to go on those tyres. Awfully long way to go. Should be able to make it, but the tyres won't feel great by the end. Gaps are starting to spread out quite a bit here at Suzuka. Still got this little group here with Tom, Nico and KD. They're a lot more spread out now after the pit stop period. Tom will break away. Those tyres will inevitably fall off. He will fall back into the clutches of Nico and KD. As Black Ball has crashed out, we have a safety car. Never mind. Flip the script on the race again. You've got to pit, yeah. Pit in for mediums. The mediums should easily make it from here. Nico stays out. KD stays out. Fascinating. Tom gets it. Tom. Bruh. Safety cars out. You don't need to push it into the pits, my guy. Mediums. Stubbly stays out. Luxury's in. That makes sense. All of these guys have to pit. They have to pit. They don't have a choice. Black Ball up. Left the session. Yeah, he had an incident. I think it was around here at turn 11. Certainly seemed like that's where the yellow flags popped up. And what a perfect little scenario for Jay here. He'll be able to pit onto the hard tyres and easily make it to the end. Alternatively, he can go against the grain and maybe put on the soft tyre. It would be a long damn stint on them though. We will spend a couple laps behind the safety car, which will help him, but ultimately it's his call. Hards are the safer option. They'll easily make it from here. And he's got guys behind that are on the hard tyres anyway. So what does he do? Softs or hards? Hard tyres. It's a safe option. You know what? Fair play. Fair play. Little mix in. He'll be moving on to a set of mediums. He'll comfortably make it too. Axis is now in. Nico stays out. KD stays out. Axis onto a set of softs. Little Mick doing the same. Fascinating. Not trying the mediums, they're trying softs. Well, I'll be. We got a proper mix-up when it comes to strategies here. Majority of them are on the mediums. The mediums will comfortably make it from this kind of distance. Got few on softs. Mick and Axis, soft compound tyres. They're going to be incredibly rapid for a few laps, but those tyres will drop off. They will. Yeah, Jay at the front. On fresh hard tyres, he'll easily get those to the end. As a matter of fact, he can push on those as hard as he likes. They won't budge. They won't wear. They're going to remain incredibly consistent from here to the end. But every lap that we spend behind the safety car, it's going to help these soft runners out tremendously. And at the moment, we got a lot of cars really far back. They've got a fair amount of catching up to do. Why have I got multiple engine noises while looking at one car? Game. Goodness sake. Can you stop being just a bug-filled mess for 5 minutes? I dearly appreciate it. Alright. While the field is catching up... Why haven't I got this camera angle yet? And why do we only get it with the safety car? That's a great camera angle. You can see so much of the chicane there. That's the first time I think I've seen that one. That's an awesome angle. Why is it only used now? Why couldn't I had that before? That's a really nice angle. Alright. Position changes, and boy do we have some changes. At the front of the field is Jay, he's up 7. Nico up 4, KD up 2. Little Mick from 17th on the grid, he's up to 4th. Axis down 1. Blockman down 3, Rebel down 5. Rebel, though, he'll be counting his lucky stars after what happened there at turn 2. He has a shot for a top 5, maybe even a podium. We'll have to wait and see. Stubbly P8, Tom P9, they're up 1 and 2 places respectively. Similar story with Luxury after what happened on the first lap. He'd just be grateful he has an opportunity to try and recover. I'll be fascinated to see how aggressive they're going to be. Captain up 2, Captain Schmeg up 4, Nanda up 2, Saucy down 7, JBH and Spad Squatch last 2 down 5 and 4 respectively. Black Baller the only car out of the race. Everyone's made at least one pit stop. Majority of the field on the medium compound tyre. 4 cars on the hards, 2 on the softs, being Little Mick and Axis. In terms of penalties, there's only one. That's RF1 Tom. A speeding penalty during the beginning of this safety car period. That's it. Now, we might be doing one more behind the safety car. It might be coming in their slab. We'll just have to wait and see when they head into the final sector. That's a big old lag spike there from Little Mick. That's not good to see. It looks like we're doing one more. Oh boy. One more lap. And again we get this car out. Can I keep this one? I just want this one. Don't need the ones next to the racetrack, just that one. That way I can see everything at the chicane at 130R. That's great. Nanda's in. Someone's coming in. Soft tyres at the ready. You know what? That's not a terrible call. Honestly. Man. Speeding penalties, man. Behind the safety car. You're not gaining anything sending it in. Take it easy. Just chill. Excuse me. This has just been a really long race. Really long session all around. Very may. Spad Squatch catching up to the tail of the field. Once he does, should confirm to us that this will be the last lap behind the safety car. There we go. Alright, we wouldn't have to wait. We won't have to wait too much longer. Once the cars make their way into the final sector, we should get confirmation from race control. We should get back on the way. Alright. Safety car in this lap. Jay will now back off, and control the field. Let the safety car go back into the pits. There we go. It's hovering now at about 60 miles an hour, right on board because the audio is terrible with the outside shots. As we head around the final corner. Taking a long damn time, 3-second penalty for Spaz Squatches. We're back under green flag conditions here at Suzuka. Lap 19 of 27. We got 9 laps to go. Stubbly gets by Rebel on the restart. He's up into P7. Some tight stuff in the mid-pack, but they all get through turns 1 and 2 unscathed. Through the S's now. 3, then 4. Around turn 5. Axis and Mick, they need to be aggressive, particularly Axis. Try and get up towards the front. His first target is Little Mick. Round Degner, turn 8, up towards turn 9. That car's going to be tough to pass though. I know this all too well. It's almost impossible passing a laggy car. Axis round the outside here at turn 11. Contact, ghosting. They get it sorted just about. Blockman moves through into 5th. Axis into P4. Little Mick down to P6. Rebel getting by Stubbly round the outside at 200R. Makes his way into P7. Oh, Stubbly slow. Balking each other up. As they exit turn 13, sideways. Tom moves through into 8th. Luxury closes in. Round 130 up. Flat out. Whole way round. Looking down the inside is Stubbly. And wheel to wheel. Locking up. Getting sideways a little bit there. Stubbly. Contact there at corner exit. Yellow flags are out. A 5-second time penalty for Nanda. So severe collisions further back. Nanda gets going again. Luxury. Oh my word, on the grass. What is Smash Squatch doing? He was on the damn grass. My word. 12th place. Moves on through. Towards the front. Or Blockman close, but not close enough. Not that you really want to go for a move at Degner. Basically a death sentence as we exit turn 9 and head up towards the hairpin. Axis having a look down the inside. He bombs it in. KD sees him coming. Leaves him plenty of room. A lot of respect there. Could have made that a hell of a lot tougher, but KD left that door open. Blockman having a crack as well. Or KD getting very close to the Alpine driver. He runs wide and drops down to P5. Dumping the battery. Heading down the back straight away towards 130R. Jay still leads. Nico still in second, but for how long? Axis is arriving. Nico defends. Axis won't go for a move. Nico's compromised. Here we go. Parts for position. Axis moves into P2. Just smart driving. Utilising the pace of the softer tyre. But now the pace of the setup comes into play as Nico closed in. Just a little bit. Not by enough to have a crack into turn 1. JBH gets by Captain Schmeck. That's for P13. Nico's a bit all over the place through the S's. He's got Blockman right behind. Up towards Degner. 1.5 tenths separating these two. Nico getting through turn 9. Keeps it on the curb. Doesn't run wide. Will he cover? No. Blockman doesn't go for it. Stays behind. Nice run out of the hairpin though from the Alpine driver. As Axis moves on through. Jay can't fight that. For now, of course. See how good those soft tyres are at the end of the race. Nico holding on to third. And this back straight away. We have Nico, Blockman, KD and Little Mick all in a train. Rebel not too far behind either. Through 130R. Up towards the Casio triangle. 2, 3 tenths separating Nico and Blockman. 4.5 tenths separating Jay and Axis. Not that Jay should be too concerned about battling Axis at this stage. He's wiggling about. Here comes Blockman. Down the inside of turn 1, he moves on through. Little Mick moves on through on KD. Moves into 5th place. His car looking a hell of a lot more stable now. Through the S's. Round turn 6. 1.5 tenths separating these two as they go through Dunlop curve. Soft tyres still operating pretty well. But as you can tell between the gap between Axis and Jay, there's not a huge difference in terms of pace. So it's not over at the front. Still got plenty of laps to go. KD almost goes into the back of Mick. Somehow he pulled that thing up. Avoided contact. He's lost time though. 7.5 tenths behind. Sorry, half a second behind Little Mick. 8.5 tenths behind his Rebel in P7. Little Mick. Close. I don't think he'll go for a move at the chicane though. He'll just set it up for the main straightaway. Spaz Squatch gets by Stubbly, that's for P11. Here comes Mick. DRS open. 4th place is his. From 17th to 4th. Still got a few laps to go though. Tom being swamped. Down to 10th he goes. Luxury up to 8th. Saucy to 9th. Behind them we have Stubbly. Spaz Squatch. Cutting the track effect shark. Running wide is Stubbly. He's rally crossing. Tumbles down to 14th place. 15th place. There's 16th. Needs to keep it on the black stuff. Where the car operates best. Here's your race leader. 7 tenths ahead of Jay. 8 tenths now. Man, who's going to take the win here? Axis with track position, but those tyres are fading. Jay on hard compounds. He's going to be consistent. He's not going to be extremely quick. And then we have Blockman on the mediums. Sort of got the best of both worlds, really. Rebel moves through on KD. Another position lost. Rebel up to 6th. His next target will be Nico. Luxury might be in a bit of strife. Saucy close. Will Saucy go for it? DRS open. Look at the overspeed. 4. P8 is his. Oh, Luxury deep under brakes. Yellow's out. It's Captain Schmeg. Around at turn 1. This thing pointed back in the right direction, but chance for points might have just gone out the window. What's happened to Rebel now? He's around at turn 7 and into the wall. Who's that? Is that Nanda? I think it was. It is. 2 cars around at Dunlop curve on the same lap. Rebel down to 14th. Nanda 15th. As soon as I mentioned that Captain Schmeg's chances of points have gone out the window. Well, the window just reappeared. Here's your leading trio. Axis, Jay, Blockman. It's a tight scrap. 1 second is the gap. As we head up towards the chicane. 3rd gear. Taking it nice and easy. They're quite right, Bags. Sometimes you just have to be a bit lucky as a spectator, making sure you're able to capture all the action. I think we captured it then. Yellow flags are out. It's Nanda. Round that Spoon. He's broken his wing too. Astonishingly, that hasn't brought out the safety car. Usually the game does that. Blockman aggressive. fast. He's desperate to find a way through. But can he find the way through? He has! Jay's wide. He's on the grass. Down to third he goes. Well, that's the last thing Axis would have wanted. Needed Jay to hold him up. Hold him up no more. 1 second's the gap. And he's got 2.5 tenths to close the gap down and try and take the lead. It's on at the front, and I assure you as well, Jay is not out of this. He just needs to stay within that second range. Stay in the fight. And who knows what happens between the top two. Blockman, he's got just a bit of battery left. Axis has only got a slither left. But it's enough to stop Blockman from getting DRS at the beginning of lap 26. Saucy gets by KD. That is for P6 on track. KD, will he try and fight back? He doesn't have a lot of battery to play with. The car steps out. He loses ground. I don't think he'll be able to fight Saucy here. Too far behind. Here comes RF1 Tom. Looking around the outside, heading into turn 1. Luxury sends it in deep, and he covers the inside. Covers it hard. Making sure no one gets underneath him. For Luxury, he's probably getting Vietnam flashbacks every time he goes through turn 2. Jay's starting to drop off. He needs to stay in that second range. Blockman needs to get within that second range right now. Needs to close that gap down as much as he can on this lap. He'll only get one opportunity to use DRS to close up on Axis. You'll only have a couple of chances after that to try and make a move. Axis is holding firm. Both drivers giving it 10 tenths out there. Axis trying to keep away from Blockman. Blockman trying to close the gap. And he's closed in by just enough to get within that critical 1 second range. He'll get some DRS on the beginning of the final lap. Through the chicane. Around the final turn, the gap closes to 7.5 tenths. 1 lap to go here at Suzuka. The final 3.6 miles of this Japanese Grand Prix. The gap shrinks down to half a second. Is that enough time gain for Blockman to give him an opportunity to try and go for the lead? Meanwhile, Little Mick trying to hang on to 4th. There'll be a driver of the day performance for Mick if he hangs on to this. Started from plumb last. And he's going to finish in the top 5 if he can just hang on. 6.5 tenths, 7 tenths the gap between the top 2 now. Is it too little, too late for the Blockman? Can he find a way through? Jay, I reckon he'd be happy with a podium finish. He just needs to keep it together. Using up whatever's left of the battery. Not quite, not quite. He's used a little bit. Axis, he should realise he's got the gap in hand. A little bit wide, but he keeps it on the black stuff. Blockman closes in by a tenth or so. Solid exit, though, from Axis. Keep Blockman at bay. He just needs to line it up through the final chicane. Can't afford to make a mistake now. The gap shrinks. It's not enough, though. Through the final chicane. Now around the final corner. What an effort. What a drive. It's Axis who wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Blockman home in P2. Jay in 3rd. Nico will take P4 at the line. Mick will take a very creditable top 5 finish from 17th on the grid. A mammoth effort that was. Saucy P6 followed by KD. Luxury recovers to finish 8th. JBH 9th. Tom rounds out the top 10. Yeah, absolutely, Bags. Those softs hung on quite well. Not just for Axis, frankly, but for Little Mick as well. Those soft tyres. That That was the MVP performance right there. Those soft tyres just hanging in there for as long as they did. Oh, what an effort. Axis, your winner of the Japanese Grand Prix. Blockman home in second. P3 to Jay. And the podium finish in his championship efforts. The unofficial results then of the Japanese Grand Prix. Axis wins with fastest lap as well. So a decent haul of points there for our championship leader. Blockman P2. Jay completing the podium places in P3. Nico 4, followed by Little Mick from 17th. He finishes 5th. An awesome effort from him today. Saucy in P6, followed by KD. Luxury, pole position. He got taken out on the very first lap of the race, but he recovered beautifully. P8 is his reward. JBH P9, followed by RF1 Tom. Stubley, captain. Spaz Squatch is next, followed by Rebel down in P14. Final point scorer, Captain Schmeg in 15th position. Nanda, 16th. Black Baller, our only retirement, resulting in the game-changing safety car. Well, that's 3 out of 3. Pacific Elite, Pacific Tier 1, and America's Tier 1, all of them resulted, or rather, all of them had game-changing safety cars that resulted in pretty dramatic finishes. So, I'm quite happy with how this week has gone as a whole. The session length has really worn me out. With full qualifying, just a lot of talking, a lot of waiting. And we had quite a fascinating Grand Prix. Plenty of drama, plenty of action, particularly at the start and towards the end. But all in all, a pretty solid event all round. Congratulations to our top 3 again for finishing on the podium. And congratulations to Axis. Another race win in the books, extending his championship lead. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's now time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 7 of the championship at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.